I want to thank the sponsors of the show, SB Tactical and the iCombat Active Shooter Training System. Their support of the show has been instrumental in getting us to this far. And if you haven't checked out their system already, go to sbtactical.com. You can see their iCombat system in action there. Their realistic active shooter training system that you can take anywhere with no cleanup, no mess like Sims. And the technology is pretty amazing. So go to sbtactical.com and check them out. Thanks for doing that. Hey everybody, welcome to this little mini-sode of the Squad Room. I'm your host, Garrett Tesla. I'm an active and full-time police sergeant for a sheriff's department here in Southern California. If this is your first time listening to this show, this one's going to be an interesting one to choose to begin with because we're going to talk and do a meditation. And Traver's here. Say hi, Traver.
Hello.
And since he's the one who got me into this and encouraged me to do this, and I am starting to see the progress that can be made with this, we thought it would be a good chance to sit down and actually do one together because one of the most common questions I get from people via email or via Twitter or whatever is how. And it's a really hard kind of concept to just explain in 140 characters or in an email when it's like, trust me, you know.
Right.
So first thing I thought we could do is talk specifically about maybe some tools.
Sure.
And the things that I've used, the things that you use, some things you've shown me. And then what we'll do is edit this out for future broadcast. And then if you want to use this guided meditation that's coming up in a minute, you don't have to go through this whole introduction. You can just jump to the mini-sode part 2, and it'll go straight into Traver's guided meditation. That'll give you a good sense of a good place to get started with all this. So we talked about meditation it was like one of the first things we've talked about.
Yeah, it's a requirement for all of my private clients.
Yes.
And I think it should be a requirement for every human being. It's really the basis of, any kind of, not even self-development, but any kind of understanding and interactive practice with how you relate to the world. So if you want to change anything, no matter what it is, physicality, athleticism, nutrition, relationship, work, I believe it should start with meditation or meditative practice.
And, you know, it's what struck me is during this process and during this experience of running this podcast is that more people agree with you. The people that I'm talking to, the people that are guests on the show, more of them have some sort of similar routine or practice in their own lives than don't.
Right.
And I'm trying to, and I think I've achieved this idea of talking to these high performers and these people who have something figured out, and a lot of them have this practice in place.
Yeah.
Now, they're not perfect at it, and they might be struggling with it, and they might just be now trying to implement it themselves, but it seems to be a consistent theme across the people I talk to, that even the ones that don't have it or don't do it are the people who are like, yeah, I've been meaning to try that. I've been trying, or I wanted to, or I tried it, and I just didn't know. So it definitely is something that's new. I just got an email yesterday from a guy who's well known in the tactical SWAT community. He's kind of like, I don't know if there's such a thing as a rock star cop. This guy's one of them.
Okay.
And he's writing articles about meditation and stuff.
Excellent.
And it's so counterintuitive, you know. So I think a lot of people have the hang-ups about, you know, the mantras or the ohms or the Buddhist stuff or the spirituality of it.
Right.
And I have chosen, and I have been completely successful with not having any of that play a part in it.
Good. It doesn't need to.
You don't need to burn sage and incense and cleanse the spirits before you do it. It's just it's really just about getting in getting to a moment of stillness, right?
Yes, absolutely. You know, I talk to a lot of people who have that objection of, oh, I'm a Christian, I can't meditate. I'm a Muslim, I can't meditate. I don't want to enter into a new spiritual practice. I'm an atheist. But you're talking about breathing, and I have yet to meet a god or goddess or deity or someone who understands or believes in a god, goddess, or deity or dogma where breathing is looked down upon.
Right.
It's kind of central.
Yeah.
So all we're doing is sitting down and breathing.
Yeah.
And being quiet and stilling the craziness that's going on in all of our heads day to day. That's the juice of it. And that carries out into your day in ways that people don't really understand yet. And it's really hard or it's almost impossible to articulate unless you've had the feeling of it. And when you wake up and you've had a good night's sleep, you have a better day usually than if you were up all night with your kids or up all night working and then try to have that day. Now articulate that. Why is that? Sure, we can look at biochemically what's going on in your brain and attention span, etc. But you have a better day, and that's all you really need to know. So same with meditation. When people have a practice, a daily practice, no matter if that day, that session they're in is challenging to them or not, the rest of their day will be better. The rest of their week may be better. The interactions they have with their spouses, with their clients, with their bosses will be of a higher quality, will be more peaceful, for lack of a better term. And that's universal.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about some of the things that we use. We've talked on this show before about him, but Mark Divine, SEAL Fit guy, he, like you say, he took the spirituality completely out of it. He doesn't even call it, the introductions anyway, he doesn't call it meditation. He calls it box breathing.
Yeah.
Right, and he teaches a box breathing. So I think when we'll put the show notes, we'll put a link to it. We put it in before, but just the simple idea of breathing and focusing on your breath. That is essentially what we're doing.
Yep.
He just calls it something different. That was something that kind of got me open to the idea. And if this guy who's a former commander of, I think, SEAL Team 3 or whatever, and, super hyper fit guy and a squared away guy is doing it, that can't be that bad, right?
Yeah, and I actually use his box breathing as a warm-up period, again, for lack of a better term, in my own meditation. Yeah. It's just the breath hold and the breath count. And that seems to be a really good reset, or again, for lack of a better usage. When you come into the gym, you do 5 minutes of light jump roping, light running, light rowing, and it sort of sets your mind and your body go, okay, I'm about to do something. So we'll take in this practice 3 or 4 box breaths, and it's just a way of your brain going, okay, here we go, time to get serious. Yeah. So yeah, Mark Divine stuff's fantastic.
Now, in terms of timers and all that, because your eyes are closed, so it's not really a good idea to keep cracking an eye open and looking at your phone. And if you're using a timer, you showed me an app called the Insight Timer or Insight Timer.
Insight Timer,
free. I think there's steps that you can buy stuff from it, but the easy timer is free. It's just in the iTunes store or in the App Store. Insight Timer, and you can set the time for however long you want. It gives you a nice little chime when you begin and end, so you know it's coming.
And I think they just upgraded it, so it's got a couple more features. But the feature, all you really need is the timer. A gong to start you, a gong to finish you, and something that counts your time for you in between. Yeah. And that's it. That's literally all you need.
And then one I've used, probably the most popular of all these, but I find it to be real helpful, is Headspace. And it's an app in the store. It's free for, I think, 2 weeks. And it does 5-minute session, I think, for it's 10-minute sessions, I think, to start. And it's guided just like this is. But if you're struggling and trying to get a sense of it, and there's some really great animations and explanations as well about the benefits of meditation, I found that to be helpful too. Because sometimes you need, I've done it both. I've done it by myself. I've done it with the guided stuff. And sometimes it just helps to have someone remind you, to bring your attention back to center.
So I look at meditation almost identically as fitness. And when you're starting out in a fitness practice, unless you have a serious athletic background, it's really good to have someone there and say, hey, man, you got to get your low back engaged in this. Hey, your shoulders aren't pulled back enough. Hey, you're going to hurt yourself if you do that. And over time, though, you develop your own movement practice. You know intuitively when your body's in the right space and when it's not. And a year into your fitness practice, a trainer is kind of a pain. You're like, hey, I got this. I know how to lift. Thank you. But in the beginning, it's not bad to have some guidance. But eventually, your goal is to wean yourself off of it so that your practice is your own. And just like a movement practice, you know the movements, you know what to do, you know the pitfalls, and then you can take that tool and remove it. And so the practice is entirely on your own thought pattern. And you're feeling everything, and there is no externality whatsoever that's interfering in any way.
Very nice. All right, so if you have any recommendations out there on what you found be useful, please shoot them to me. I'm always curious to find out what people are using at the Squad Room on Twitter, Instagram, or squadroompodcast@gmail.com. I love to hear what people find to be working. because I'm always open to new things. Or not always, try to be. That would be a lie.
From time to time, I'm open to new things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tuesdays, Thursdays, and every other Wednesday. All right, so let's try it.
Sure.
So I'm going to shut up. I'm going to let you take it.
All right. So let's talk first about just some basic positioning. Let's assume people are either going to be sitting in a chair or lying flat on their backs. I recommend sitting in a chair, especially in the beginning. Lying on your back often leads to falling asleep, but a lot of less people will fall asleep sitting in a chair, and they'll have their attention upright. So let's assume we're sitting in a chair. The first thing we want to do before we get into the meditative aspect is get our positioning correct. So if you are in a chair, slide yourself to the very front of it so that just your sit bones, just the two bones in your butt, are on the edge of the chair. You're going to want to pretend as if you're standing, I guess since it's law enforcement, you guys have some kind of, someone comes in and assesses you and makes sure you're dressed properly in an academy, or, I'm trying to get at here.
Oh, yeah. Attack officer or...
Yep. So you're standing up tall, right? You're in your bed. It's almost like a military position. Your shoulder blades are back and down. Your chin is back. It's as if there's a string in the top of your head pulling you upright. So you want this to be a mix of attention and relaxation, where I'm not rigid, I'm not squeezing anything, I'm not flexing anything, but I'm in a position where my structure is held so that I could stay in this position indefinitely if needed. To describe it, we'll put the counter position. Imagine if you were standing up and then bending over at the waist and had both arms straight out in front of you. You couldn't hold that position for an hour, hour and a half. Your muscle fatigue would immediately screw you up. So let's get in a position where our spines are aligned. So we have that pull. We're sitting up tall. Hands can be folded any which way you like, in your lap or on your knees or on your thighs. And the goal for this 6 minutes is not to move them. All right, everybody in position. We're going to start the bell, and we're going to start this with 3 box breaths, which are going to be, just for description, a 5-second inhalation, a 5-second hold in the inhalation, a 5-second exhalation, and a 5-second hold at the exhalation. So we'll walk you through those 3, and then the breathing is just going to be relaxed and normal. Here we go. So let's do a 5-second inhale. Five-second hold. 5-second exhale. 5-second hold. 5-second inhalation. 5-second hold. 5-second exhalation. 3, 4, 5. 5-second hold. One last breath in for 5. Hold for 5. Exhale for 5. And hold for 5. Now we can just resume breathing, natural state, natural pace. You can breathe through your nose. Now we're going to monitor the back of our eyelids. So look there. Look there as if you were having to pick out detail. Your attention is there. Breathing is steady. The feet are flat on the floor. When thoughts come in, Let them simply pass in front of you and leave without judging them. If you find one has grabbed you, just take notice of that. Let that thought go. Come back to your center. Take a deep breath and start again. Breathe deep into your belly. Slowly exhale. If you find that a thought has grabbed you and led you off somewhere, again, let it go. No judgment. Just return to your center. Take that big restarting breath. And continue to monitor the back of your eyelids. Feel your heart rate slowing down, your breath rate slowing down, a sense of deep relaxation and calm coming through your body. Focus back on the back of your eyelids. Notice if there's colors there, shapes appearing. Just view them. Bear witness to them. And let them go. Deep breath in, deep breath out, and that was 6 minutes. Before you move, wiggle your toes, clench your fists and let it go. Rotate your shoulders back and forth a little bit, and just return back into your body. Let's finish with 3 more box breaths. So we're going to go inhale for 5. Hold for 5. Exhale for 5. Hold for 5. Inhale for another 5. Hold. Exhale. Hold. one more big inhalation. Hold. Exhale. And hold. Slowly start to open your eyes and resume normal breathing. Congratulations, you just meditated.
Well, I feel relaxed.
Me too.
Even with the headphones, the gear, and the microphones and all that. Yeah, still.
Yeah, it drops you right in. It's a wonderful practice, and it really does carry out throughout the day, even if it's just 6 minutes, you know. I think one of the things that trips people up is they equate it again to fitness. It's like, well, I don't get my 2 hours in. I don't get my hour and a half in. Like, no, it's just 5 minutes makes a big difference. 5 minutes at the start of your day can really set your whole day up. And it's more about reps than it is time, in my opinion.
Yeah. What is it? You tell me 3 minutes a day is better than no minutes a day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's a huge hang up for people, and for me is, I don't have time.
Yeah.
I should have 3 minutes. I can find
3 minutes. You can find 3 minutes. And I've even told people that have struggled with the practice, well, let's go 3 minutes a day for the next 10 days. And they go like, why would I even do 3 minutes? You know, 3 minutes is nothing. Why don't we try 20 minutes for 9 days in a row? Like, well, how many minutes are you doing right now?
Yeah.
Well, I'm doing none. All right, well, then let's shoot for 3, and then you can work your way up.
Yeah.
And oftentimes I've actually sat for 25 minutes, and then when the bell goes off, just turned it off and continued. And again, I equate it to sort of people that actually enjoy running. They'll go out for a run. Yeah, that's a whole other podcast.
They don't listen to this show.
They will actually continue this thing called running long after their set
on
distance.
Purpose.
Yeah, and enjoy it. You know, and that's really where you get to, is this calm starts to be something that you're really after. Yeah, wonderful practice.
Excellent. Traver, welcome back.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing this. Like I said, we'll edit it out and we'll add a second mini-sode of this to the shows, so that you can just go straight to this and play it in the future without all our jibber jabbing and back and forth, and us amusing ourselves with our our sense of humor. Thanks for listening to the show. Check it out check out the show notes and those resources we talked about at thesquadroom.net. Take care, guys.